Hello and welcome to this session on Invite Your One. We're really excited about this series to talk to you about an exciting new way to grow the attendance in your church through a big one-day event.
Well, I tell you, just get ready for this, because this is something that's kind of been ignored for a couple of decades now, for the most part. The idea of a one-day event, something that can take place in your church that will increase attendance for not just that event, but ongoing. And I really want to do away with all of the presuppositions about this, that this is a quick fix, that it's some type of plug-and-play program. There are reasons that we have created this resource for you called Invite Your One. And the reasons are, it's really going to have a tremendous impact upon your church. So what Jonathan and I are going to do in this first session, we're going to give you a little bit of background information, but then we're going to get very, very practical. And this also includes just an abundance of resources so that you can have your own Invite Your One day. Well, let's get into the kind of the background of this just a little bit, Jonathan, and then we'll talk a little bit more as we progress about the different issues related to it and the practical steps.
Yes, and like I mentioned at the top of the recording here, that this is a one-day event to help boost your church's attendance, but you also mentioned it's not just kind of a up and then everything's back to normal. What we've seen in almost every case is that it goes up and it stays at a higher level than it was before.
Yeah, give you one example. This is just hypothetical, but this would be typical with an Invite Your One day. If your average attendance is, say, 200, you may actually experience a bump of 50% and get up to 300. And then the next Sunday it may be at 250, but it sustains itself. Mm-hmm. Those numbers are hypothetical, but they are not out of the realm of possibility. There is a reason that this works so well, but it all centers around this one day. But there's a lot that leads up to it, and we're going to provide you every single thing you need in order for you to have a good Invite Your One day at your church.
Now some of you may be thinking, I've heard about this in the past, something about 20 to 30, maybe even 40 years ago, from Elmer Towns, which was Friend Day.
Yeah, I love Friend Day. There was this little dude on there. He's shorter than I was, which
wow,
no comment. That he was about 4 feet, and he was just this comic character. And somebody's got him by the hand, and that's invite this person, the friend.
Take your friend to church.
Take your friend to church. And Friend Day became immensely popular. It was used for a couple of decades. Probably peaked in the 80s, mm-hmm. would be my guess, but we abandoned it because it did not update. It became old looking, and many people had tried it. And what we are trying to do is to bring back some of the best concepts of Friend Day for the 21st century and into your church today. So I think that this is something that can be very valuable, and I think we're going to be able to provide you all the steps that you need.
And now, as with Friend Day, the Invite Your One, what we see, the pattern, and we've already talked about it a little bit, is you get a big increase and then it settles at still an increase.
At an increase. Understand this. As you begin to prepare for this, when we say that your church will get this big increase and then it'll drop down but settle at a higher rate, what we are assuming is that you are doing everything that we suggest to do.
Yeah.
If you begin to take shortcuts, if you begin to say, I don't need to do this part or this part, everything works together for a reason, and that's why we have the complete resource of Invite Your One that we are delivering to you so that you can have all the steps. So if you're truly interested in seeing this big increase in attendance in your church that will settle down always after the big day, but then a sustained increase that will be lasting. We're going to give an example later on about the Foundry Church mm-hmm. in Colorado that actually experienced this with their own Invite Your One, but we'll hold off on that in just a little while.
Yeah, and the purpose of Invite Your One is really to get your people in your church, your members, into a Great Commission mindset where inviting people to church is not just a one-time-a-year thing that on this big Sunday, this Invite Your One Sunday.
Right.
It's something that they're doing ongoing. And so it's really a catalyst to growth long-term for a church.
You are a genius.
Yes, I am.
Oh, gosh. That you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I could not have said them any better. Hear us well. This is not plug and play. This is not quick fix, although it can have some immediate results. Mm-hmm. This is about changing the mindset of someone. Here's an example, Jonathan. I was okay in some sports when I was long time ago, when I was youthful. Football was my best sport. Basketball, not so much.
Not so much.
People dunked me, but I did not. I did not dunk. But baseball was somewhere in between.
Okay.
Just somewhere in between. And in the particular league that I was in, batting around 400 would have been a good hitter, not 300, just because of the type of pitchers we have. But I was consistently a 300 hitter, which was okay, but not great. And I had someone show me one thing, and it had to do with my stance. One thing. And I don't remember all the details, but I immediately went from a 300 to a 400 hitter without one
little change.
One little change. Okay, that was a one-time event. That was one little thing that had happened, but it became a part of who I was. And so the rest of the time when I played baseball, I was able, at least in that league, to be a 400 hitter. Now, if I'd been in the major leagues, I would have been a 0-0-0 hitter. But in that particular league, my batting average went up 100 points because of one thing. So you said it very well. What this Invite Your One is all about is to change the mindset of your members, because many of your members do not think that if they invite people, they will come. Many of your members do not think that if they have a Great Commission mindset, that it will make a difference, or that they can have a Great Commission mindset. So understand that this whole emphasis is about showing and demonstrating to your members that yes, it can happen. It's about the one-day event, but it's about the long term as well.
Yeah, and another way to say that would be that it's not really about the program, it's about creating a new lifestyle.
Yeah, the new lifestyle of inviting. Several years ago, Jonathan, I wrote a book called The Unchurched Next Door. And part of the purpose of the book was to talk about people who live close to us or who work with us, that if you just simply develop a relationship and invite them to church, the chances are about 85% of them will come.
Yeah, one of the data points in your book, and then Church Next Door, is that they really aren't that reticent to coming once they're invited.
And most of our members think that they are reticent because, I'm not going to invite them. It's a personal thing. I'm not going to bother them. They wouldn't come to church anyway. And we come up with all of these excuses about why we shouldn't, till we get to the point that we don't even think about it anymore, and we're no longer inviting people. Some people are just blown away when they invite their neighbors, their friends, their relatives, their acquaintances, their coworkers, fellow students. When they invite them and they say, hey, I want to invite you to church. I want you to come along with me, and we're going to walk to church together, walk into the church together, and they're surprised when people say, yes, I'm willing to do that.
And the thing is, we know people, or we should know people, who are unchurched. I mean, most of us have a group of friends or relatives or neighbors who are unchurched, probably in close to 20, maybe even 24, that we could easily invite, but we sometimes just don't.
All right, let's think about it for a moment. You go to church?
I do.
Yeah,
that's usually a good thing whenever your wife's on staff. Yeah, they tend to frown on that if you don't show up.
So she's had children's ministry, so you go to church. You work where? Lifeway Christian Resources.
There's a few people here I could invite.
There are probably a few people you could invite to church. You go home to a Christian family, so you're spending most of your time
90 to 95% probably
not among Christians. That's just the way it is. Okay, Jonathan, so I'm not asking you for names, and I can help you in this, but if that's your holy huddles, who are some of the people that you can break out of the huddle with?
My kids are in sports.
Okay.
And they're in the city leagues. So we're on teams with people who some go to church with us, most don't. Most I do know where they go to church, because it invariably comes up whenever you start talking to us. So what do you do? I work here, my wife works there. Or, do y'all go to church anywhere? That conversation comes up with my kids. I have neighbors that I know as well. I know about neighbors to the right of me. They go to the Methodist church in town where we live, and the neighbors to the left of me are unchurched. But we've been working with them.
So there's an opportunity. Hey, we're going to have this special day. I want you to be my friend for this day. I want you to be the one that I am inviting.
Yeah. If I was like you, I may have a barber. I don't.
I forgot about that.
I don't have a barber.
Yes.
So, but that's another possible connection right there. And the baristas at the coffee shop that
you have lots of baristas.
I frequent, yes. Well, I don't have lots. I have 2 or 3 that I see a lot.
Yes, yes.
So, but there are people who I know on a first name basis who I am in conversation with on a weekly basis that I could invite. Even for me, who wife works at a church, I work at a Christian resource provider, and we're in church all the time.
And you
So-
have a Christian family.
Yeah.
And so the point that I'm making is that Jonathan's in a lot of holy huddles just like I am.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he has the opportunity to break out of those holy huddles and invite. And this is just about inviting one.
Yes, just one.
Invite.
I could find one.
Invite your one. By the way, I didn't tell you, I now have a new barber,
Okay,
Maria.
Maria.
And the reason
She's a stylist, probably.
okay, well she cuts my hair. You know,
She
don't-
probably would not like being referred to as a barber. I'm sticking up for Maria here.
Okay, well, Maria cuts my hair.
Yes, she does.
And I have decided to start asking for Maria. I know what day she works. I go to a very high-end place called Great Clips, or is it Supercuts? Well, it's one of those two. I go
Whichever one wants to sponsor this video, that's where he'll go. So,
Well, and one thing I do is I buy the card ahead of time, where instead of having to pay $14 a haircut, I pay $9 a haircut.
because you're economical.
I buy a year's worth, but then I give the barber stylist a nice tip as well. But for a long time, I haven't been having a regular barber because they've been moving people in and out. And then I've been seeing Maria there, and I got my hair cut by her and said, "How long have you been here?" She said, 9 years. Wow. And so I've been in the community 10 years. She's been there 9 years. And so now 2 times in a row, beginning to develop that conversational relationship. And if my church has an invite your one, Maria would be the one that I would probably
I
invite.
bet your church will have an invite your one.
I bet they will too. I bet they will. Also, I have Hindu neighbors across the street, and I don't think they're practicing Hindus.
Don't think they're attending Brentwood Baptist
No,
either.
I don't think so either. So those are just some of my opportunities. But you're right, you don't get your hair cut, so you don't have as many opportunities.
Yeah, but one thing to remember about this, it's not a quick fix. This is a starting point. This is not just, hey, we're going to have an invite your one day and everything's going to be great and the church is going to be on its way to growth. No, this is the catalytic event for a church as a starting point toward that road toward growth.
Again, I'm being redundant, and forgive me for the redundancy, but for you leaders who are thinking about doing an invite your one in your church, please stay with what we are recommending. The reason that we are recommending what we are recommending is because we have the history of Friend Day, and we've seen churches like the Foundry Church in Colorado that have done things like Invite Your One and the results that have happened. And so, and we'll share with you what Chuck Angel, the pastor, told us about what he did right and what he did wrong. But the results have been nothing short of incredible with his one day. So stay with the program. Stay with the outline. Stay with the resource that we're providing you. Don't try to skip anything, because this is going to be a significant day in your church. All right, you have the introduction now. You have this overview. You've been told about this one-day event with all the preparatory work that's going to go into it. We've told you that you're going to have this increase, most likely, if you do it well, a significant bump in attendance, and then it'll settle down a little bit, but it will sustain. We've given you the hope, maybe somewhat of a promise, that many of your church members will get into a lifestyle of inviting people to church, which is a Great Commission mindset. At least it's the beginning of a Great Commission mindset. And we will give pointers to how people can find these who aren't in church, with the hope that they will come if they are invited. And even though we said that this is not a quick fix, it's a starting point, it is to give you something to build for the rest of your ministry at this church. So here's my question to you, leader. Whether you are a pastor, or whether you are a lay leader, or whether you're a staff person, are you really ready to make the commitment to do what is necessary for Invite Your One? There's going to be some work involved. We'll show you every step of the way. But are you really ready to do this? Because if you are ready to do this, we're going to share resource information with you over the next sessions that will, I think, blow you away about the possibilities that can take place in your church. The resource that we're providing is called Invite Your One. And the day could be coming in your church several weeks down the road where you could have an Invite Your One and it will have an incredible result. So Jonathan, what are we going to do in our next session?
We're going to give you an overview of what the entire program looks like from 10 to 12 weeks out, what you need to be doing. And then we're going to, as we get along in this, we'll actually walk through week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. But those are coming up in future sessions. But the next session, we're going to talk about just the general overview of what is involved in Invite Your One.
All right, we'll look forward to seeing you in the next session. And thanks for being here. This is going to be real exciting.